Hey guys, it's myself here. Welcome back to the channel. And today is a big day for Apple releasing software across the board for other platforms. So today Apple has officially released iOS 15.1 with major improvements, new features, bug fixes, and I feel like iOS 15.1 should have been the software released initially with iOS 15, but nonetheless it is here. And as I mentioned, it is a big day today for Apple because they also have updated other platforms. So today, aside from iOS 15.1 being released to the general public, Apple has also released macOS Monterey finally for everyone to download. Today is now available for you to download. Of course, iPadOS 15.1 is now available for download as well. tvOS 15.1 is now available for the Apple TV, of course. HomePodOS 15.1, which great improvements is going to be bringing to the HomePods, which we'll talk about in this video, of course. And watchOS 8.1 has now been released for the Apple Watch with new features and improvements as well. I'm going to go over some of the latest new features and enhancements on iOS 15.1 in case you were wondering, should you update or not. And as always, if you would like to stay up to date with everything Apple software related, of course, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications so that you don't miss another episode. Now, as I mentioned, iOS 15.1 is now officially released to the general public, and this one comes in at approximately 5.5 gigs. Now, as I always say, guys, don't be afraid. You're not going to be losing 5 gigs from your iPhone storage. This is simply overwriting the entire OS to install iOS 15.1. Now, as I mentioned before in other videos, iOS 15.1 just feels like the software Apple should have released initially, and I'll get to some of the details into why. Let's head on over into general about, and then we're going to go ahead and take a look at the build number, because a lot of you guys were asking, is this the same build number as the RC? And the answer to that is yes. RC is the same build, so there it is, 19B74. Now, Apple did release a second RC last week for the iPad mini, but that continues to be the same build number as of today as well. So again, if you're running the beta, the RC or the release candidate is pretty much the same build as today, and we're going to go over some of the latest in details. So one thing I do want to mention, as I mentioned earlier, HomePodOS received an update. So HomePodOS 15.1 is now available to download, and this brings quite a bit of improvements to the HomePod. So if you own a HomePod mini or a HomePod, you now get spatial audio with Dolby Atmos support on the HomePods, and you also get right here lossless playback with Apple Music on the HomePods and HomePod mini. So Apple updated their HomePod lineup today with this great software improvement, and I can't wait to try it out. Now, as I mentioned, watchOS 8.1 is now available, and Apple has added some great features to the Apple Watch. You now have the ability to turn on fall detection only for workouts if you wish to do so. This is going to be Apple Watch Series 4 or newer. And Apple has also upgraded the algorithm on the Apple Watch to better detect falls. In case you were wondering, that's what that first note is right there. Now, with iOS 15.1, Apple has added the COVID-19 vaccination record cards that you can now add to the wallet on your iPhone. Well, you can now do that with watchOS 8.1 as well. Apple has also added Fitness Plus support for SharePlay that allows users to now bring up to 32 people on a FaceTime call with SharePlay on your Apple Watch in order to have a group workout, which is super cool. And a bug that Apple has fixed with this new update for Apple Watch Series 5 or newer, and that is the always-on display for some users was not displaying the time properly when it was on its lowest brightness state, when it was always on display. Well, Apple has now addressed that with watchOS 8.1. So if you were looking at your watch when it was on the always-on display and the time wasn't proper, that has been addressed with this latest software update. But again, iOS 15.1, the biggest news today, which I want to talk about, is some of the latest new features. Now, Apple has enabled SharePlay across the board, so now you get it for iPadOS, tvOS, macOS, and of course iOS. And this will allow you, in case you didn't know, to watch a movie or TV show with someone else on a FaceTime call, and you guys can both interact with the controls, and you can also play and pause and just share music and share videos, but you can also share your screen with someone else as well. So yeah, SharePlay is now officially here, and it is available, and you can watch your TV shows and listen to music with someone else on a FaceTime call, which is super cool. Now, as I mentioned, vaccination card records is now available for COVID-19 in the wallet application. Now, this particular feature isn't available for everyone as of right now. It will be rolling out slowly. Certain states are adopting this particular format. You can add it to the wallet right here, as you can see. Now, there's also improvements to the IDs for driver's license and IDs feature in the wallet as well. So Apple has added this feature, but again, certain states are getting it. Florida is one of the last states here recently that has received this update where you can now add your driver's license or IDs to the wallet on iOS. Again, more states will be rolling out here shortly. One of the biggest updates to iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max with iOS 15.1 is the ProRes video capturing, which is now available for the new iPhones. Finally, one of the coolest features, video capturing, ProRes for the iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max. There's a new toggle in settings for the micro photography options here for auto micro. So if you don't want your iPhone to automatically switch to the ultra wide lens when you get close to a subject, this toggle will now let you lock that into place, which is super handy when you're taking micro photographies on iPhone. We also have, of course, the new watch faces for the new Apple Watch as well. As you can see right there, we have 3 new watch faces available. And we also have a new screen setup, or the new updated refresh setup screen for the Apple Watch to mimic or actually show the Apple Watch Series 7 as it should. And of course, as I mentioned, Apple has continued to improve the accessibilities feature. I talked about this extensively in my beta coverage. Apple now added the ability to add the audiogram options, and also there's new options within the actual AirPods. As you can see right here, the spatial audio has a new description. The tracking now actually moves, and you can actually adjust these settings within the control center, which we'll go over here in just a few seconds, because we now have, with AirPods update, which Apple updated just about a week ago, you now have conversation boost, which you can now direct the microphones from your AirPods to someone that's talking to you in front of you, and you can hear them clearly with your AirPods. It's super cool. I have a video on that. As I mentioned, you can now control that from your control center accessibility options. As you can see right here, we have background noise. There's also minor changes to iOS 15.1, and these are very, very minor. If you go over to the phone extension, you have a new icon for announced calls, and also on FaceTime, we can also see that here as well. And I do want to talk about some of the bug fixes. With iOS 15.1, Apple is looking to address, finally, the Apple Watch communication issues with iPhone 13. Now, some users say that iPhone 13 and 13 Pro Max received this fixed with iOS 15.0.2, but some users continue to report this issue. So 15.1 aims to fix this particular issue. I haven't seen this issue happen to me on 15.1, which is a good thing. Also, if you were having issues with some of your widgets not loading, this software also fixes that particular issue. Now, there's a few bugs that I did encounter with iOS 15.1 as I was testing the beta and even on the final release, and I do want to talk about those quickly here. Number one, the camera on iPhone 13 will sometimes fail to launch or stay blurry for some reason. There's also minor issues with communications over CarPlay. So if you use CarPlay, some users continue to report CarPlay communication issues. Now, if there's app crashings, as I always say, make sure you head on over to the App Store and update all your applications as you update the software. One of my major concerns with iOS 15.1, and I'll have a video later on this week about, is the network connection and the network performance overall. For some reason, 5G was working okay with 15.0, but 15 and 15.0.1, 15.0.2. But with iOS 15.1, for some reason, my 5G coverage isn't as good. The performance of the network isn't as good. And again, I'll have a later video this week talking about that and how to improve those network performance and how to troubleshoot those on the latest 15.1. And some users continue to report the storage full prompt that some users were getting when launching the settings application. Many users on Reddit were saying that opening the settings application, your iPhone will prompt you that your storage was full even though you had storage left over. I would like to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Are you experiencing that particular issue? Because I haven't noticed it on 15.1 so far. So yeah, again, major day today for Apple. iOS 15.1 with some great improvements and bug fixes and new features and changes to the software. Of course, iPadOS as well, tvOS 15.1, watchOS 8.1, and of course, finally, macOS Monterey. Huge day. I hope you guys enjoy the software. Stay tuned for my follow-up videos here on the channel. As I mentioned, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next videos, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.